The RMT are still in their dispute over pay and conditions with the government and the train companies. They're back on strike, and Mick Lynch is back on the media.
When was the last time you spoke to government about trying to get this strike resolved?
I think we spoke to government back in January. It's been many months. The government is trying to remain aloof, but of course in the contracts they have with the train operating companies, they are directly responsible, and they're responsible for this deadlock and responsible for the fact that there's not a settlement. They've cost the country nearly £5 billion in the course of this dispute. They've given the train operating companies £900 million in subsidies, and they've allowed them to pay £160 million of dividends over the last 2 years. So they're entirely responsible, but like Pontius Pilate, they want to wash their hands of it.
I mean, they will, of course, say that you and your members have cost the country by going out on strike. You say there's an impasse and the government are the ones being the roadblock. What is it exactly that the government aren't allowing the rail delivery group to do?
Well, the government has contracts with all these companies that say that the Secretary of State, Mark Harper, is directly responsible for industrial relations, their negotiating stance and the conduct of the dispute. So they are demanding that our members put up with below inflation pay rises. We haven't had a pay rise for 4 years now, and they've offered 5%, when inflation over that period has probably been 25%. They want to cut thousands of jobs out of the system. They want to shut every booking office in Britain. They want to get rid of catering. They want to get rid of engineering jobs. So there are a whole host of changes that they want to bring in, which will be detrimental to the public and the service on the railway and the railway's future, and they're directly responsible for that. But of course they've got a dogmatic approach to workers' wages. They're making working people poorer all over the country, and everywhere outside of Mark Harper's remit, we've got settlements. We've got settlements in Scotland, we've got settlements in Wales, we've even got settlements with the private sector rail operators and the bus companies and everybody else we deal with, except where the Tory government controls the industry. We've got no settlement and we've got strikes.
As well as speaking to Sky, Mick Lynch went on Talk TV.
Aren't you at risk of putting your members out of a job and out of work? Because frankly, you don't need people to drive trains and to guard them in the way that you used to. You don't need staff in the way that we used to have them before, because people can do it online. They can buy their tickets. They don't need as many staff. You could be putting your members at risk, aren't you?
No, I don't think we are putting our members at risk. We have pushed back on all the changes they want to make. It's no good having an app if you've got a drunken, unsocial behaviour incident on a train station at night when women are seeking to go home from shift work, when nurses and care workers are looking for assistance on a platform. An app is no good to you if you're in a wheelchair and need to board a train with a big gap at the interface. An app is no good to you when you get disrupted train services, when you get animals on the line or trespassers or whatever. None of that works. There isn't a train in this country, and there won't be for many decades, that can be driven without a train driver. That people want a guard on the train. They want their station staffed. We saw in the 80s and 90s, when the trains were de-staffed, that they became hostile environments, muggers' paradise, if you like. We want a friendly, secure, affordable railway that's in the hands of the people, that is run in the interest of the people and not for profiteers.
So Mick Lynch making the argument, we talk about it a lot on this show, that a really good service, a really good rail service will employ quite a lot of people. A real top-class station, which is a nice place to catch a train, especially if you are a person who might feel vulnerable in some way, has some staff there, right? There'll be some staff on the train, there'll be some staff on the platform. This idea that, because of technology, we can just all do it all by app, it seems a bit odd to me. It might be the case that people are doing different things, like when it came to ticket offices. Probably we do need less people to sell us tickets, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should sack the people. It means that maybe we could put those people to different jobs on railway stations, because it's nice to have people around, right? People who you can ask help from. The idea that this modern, futuristic society is one where the only person you can talk to is, through a chatbot on an app, I don't quite buy. This particular strike, so the strike this weekend, has been especially controversial because it clashes with the FA Cup final, which is between Man City and Man U. Lots of traffic is expected, as that's a lot of people going from Manchester to London in a single day. Fans have had to find alternative routes. I think Man United fans have been told to take some roads and Man City fans have been told to take others. Aaron, the RMT have had a very sort of populist strategy so far. Is taking on football fans on the FA Cup weekend a mistake?
No, I don't think so. I mean, most people going to watch a football match aren't going down. Well, many people aren't going down on the morning. They will stay overnight. You know, they make a weekend of it, have a few drinks. I'm sure if you go out in London tonight, you probably meet a lot of Mancs. That's not entirely right. Obviously, many people drive down. Coaches is the classic for away fans, of course. So, you know, it's not like it's some game changer of people that want to go and watch the FA Cup. I don't buy that. There's always an event. You know, it was apparently Eurovision last time. Why does the RMT hate Eurovision? Now it's the FA Cup. It's silly. And I follow lots of football fans on Twitter, on social media. They're the first to say that this is just a ridiculous, phony war being created between the Labour movement and football fans. Football fans care deeply about things like fan ownership, foreign oligarchs or millionaires or billionaires coming into British football and not screwing it up. Okay, the Saudis are one thing, because they're actually injecting money into Newcastle or other Gulf Arabs like Man City, but people like Milan Mandaric in Portsmouth or like the Glazers at Manchester United sucking money out of English football, you know, there is a real hard political edge to that. We saw that, of course, with the proposals for the Super League. The response that created immediately, you know, Chelsea fans, hardly known for being political radicals who are prone to direct action, were blocking the team's coach coming into Stamford Bridge. The proposals were very quickly deflated and rejected. So I think, you know, football fans have a bit more savviness to them than is being sort of projected here by the Tories and bits of the media. Of course, they just think that working class people like their football, can't hold two ideas in their head at the same time. You know, somebody can be irritated by the inconvenience of something, but also support the strikes. And I suspect that's a decent chunk, if not most, of the people affected by this.
To close out this segment, we thought you'd just show you this. The BBC have just released a documentary series on the current strike wave. And it, of course, as you can imagine, features quite a lot of Mick Lynch. This is footage from November last year.
There's about, I think, 3 or 4 cameras. There's a few reporters out there.
Okay.
Channel 4's going live, I believe.
Right, where's what I've got to say? Let's see how it goes.
Talks between the train companies and the RMT continue to stall.
We're trapped in this cycle which the government hold the key to. Nobody else can provide a solution.
What is the latest situation?
We're going to escalate the action so that we show the companies and the government that we're serious, and we have to keep it moving forward.
OK, all right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give you an announcement about our action. We're announcing 4 weeks of industrial action on the 13th and 14th and 16th and 17th of December, and then again on January the 3rd and 4th and the 6th and 7th. Despite every effort made by our negotiators, it is clear now that the government is directly interfering in our attempts to reach a settlement.
Because of how close these strikes are to Christmas, you're being nicknamed Mick Grinch. Is that a nickname you're proud of?
Well, I expect that from yourself. That's the sort of quality journalism I've come to expect from your particular dark corner of Fleet Street.
2 5-day strikes at the most sensitive time of the year. How are you not the Grinch?
Every day is sensitive. There's no good time to have a strike. We've deliberately left the Christmas period.
Oh, come on, you've done it deliberately in the run-up to Christmas and afterwards.
You asked me a question about Christmas.
I've never seen a time where the press say, let's listen to what the unions say. They just regurgitate what they hear from the government. The government's got vast press resources.
Government's blaming you. What would you say in response?
I mean, how long until next year can we expect this kind of misery to grind on?
It does feel that you've got a lot of people against you sometimes, and the power of the state in this case as well. It's all a bit surreal, all this, isn't it?
Give them a wave.
The rug's been pulled out from underneath them.
The government must put themselves in a place where they create the right environment and show goodwill and be facilitators rather than an obstacle to the settlement.
Just to say, we asked the Rail Delivery Group, we asked Network Rail, we asked the government to join us tonight. No one was available. If these...
Well, I wonder why.